Hi, and welcome back to Rain or Shine Gardening. I'm Katie, and thank you for joining me again here at my July backyard garden tour. I realized I have not done a backyard garden tour since May, and so much has changed since then. I have things that have come and gone for blooms, things that are just now growing and getting to the point of blooming. I've had so many updates and changes to my raised bed vegetable garden, so it is about time that I document what is growing and what's changing here in my garden for July. It has been pretty hot for the beginning part of July, but last night we actually got a much needed rain and a cool down. So it's been really nice. I can tell my flowers and my plants are very happy about that. But here I'd like to share with you what is in my garden for July here in the Portland, Oregon area in Zone 8B. Here in the greater Portland area, we live on the east side. So we are less than an hour from Mount Hood. It is a very large, glorious mountain here in the Pacific Northwest. And we're also just over an hour from the Oregon coast, which we love to go to year round, but mostly in the summertime. We always have an annual family trip scheduled to the coast. So we're lucky. We're right here in the middle. We have the best of everything. We're really close to the gorge here in Oregon too. There's what they call the fruit loop. And so there's all these farms and different places in the area that sell cherries and apples. And we've gone fruit picking, apple picking, and pears up there before, and it's been wonderful. So we are just really lucky to be so close to so many wonderful things. Today, though, I'd like to take you through what is in my garden for July, and just to show you so that we can look back. It was fun already looking back at May and seeing how different things are. So let's get started. All right, we're going to start out here to the entrance to my backyard. You can see on the left-hand side is my fountain, which brings us a lot of really nice water sounds in our backyard. We also have recently planted, as of yesterday, coneflower. And then I have a hebe planted there on the left-hand side too. I just have this kind of old-fashioned, old-looking cottagey style brick pathway that leads to our backyard gate. And on both sides of this arbor, I have grapes planted. And this is one of those things that I was saying, there's such a difference already from May to now. These grapes were just barely leafing out in May, and I cannot believe how amazing they look already. You can see the huge clusters of grapes that we have coming on. This right hand side is a green seeded grape, so this we'll probably use for juice or grape jelly. And on the left hand side, we have a red seedless grape. So this is a good table grape, good for snacking on, really sweet fruit. And it also has quite a bit of fruit on it, more than we've ever had before. So they really like this area. They get usually bright morning sun, and then they get a little bit of relief from the heat in the afternoon, and they always stay looking really great. Our grapes are really vigorous, so I have to keep them trimmed back from this walkway, or they just kind of take over. But it's kind of a nice little tunnel entrance way with the brick here to the backyard. We had a chain link fence that was here on our property, kind of fencing off our backyard, and I did paint it black. I think it adds a lot to the look. And you'll see my other fence in the back is not painted yet, but that's something I would like to do eventually, is paint the fence black. I think it just kind of helps fade into the background a little bit better and matches some of my other black items, black trimmed out items here. You'll see my swing over in my little pergola area. One thing I hope to do is build a little tiny garden bed down here on the bottom. I have a plant that I purchased that's a climber, so I want to put it on that side and see if it will climb up. And then our little playhouse here is looking cute with a little lavender wreath. And I've got some hens and chicks planted down below. This doesn't get watered to it, so I needed something planted there that would withstand the dryness and do really well. And those are obviously doing great. I think one of the hens on this side, the sempervivum, is maybe 8 inches across. It's absolutely huge. So walking along the left side of the playhouse here, there's just a little walkway. I do see a couple apples on the ground, and we did get some rain last night, and so I think maybe some wind and rain that we got knocked those off. So I'm going to pick those up so that the bugs don't get them. This is my grandma's apple tree that's now kind of coming its way over top of this fence. And you'll see that these apples, I think they're a Grabenstein variety. These apples are probably ready to be picked off the tree. And these branches would like some relief from the weight of the apples too. And then this is my fence garden bed, my back fence, and it's looking really pretty. We've got some Superbina pink cashmere. I've got one, two, three, four of those, and they are blooming their heads off. They're way down to the grass to the point where when I weed eat and mow, I end up chopping some of it off. I should probably do a cutback, but it's looking really great right now. Really happy with the color. I did do a video where I showed cutting back my catmint that is in this bed, my Nepeta, and you can see how much it's already flushing back. I've got some there, and then repeating down the bed. But I cut it back to just a couple inches when I did trim it back, and it's already growing back pretty well. We've got mounds coming in wherever I cut it back. Also in this bed, I have some pepper plants, and those are getting a lot of new green growth on them, which is great. Got some fertilizer on those, and they're pretty happy. See some buds as well. I have new clematis in this bed that I planted just this year, and you can see some of it is blooming out already. This one is showing off with some really pretty bright blooms. And then I have my columnar apple trees in this bed as well. I have four of them, and you can see that this one has quite a few apples on it already. They alternate red and yellow apples. So this one, it's getting some blush on there, so I think it's probably a red variety. You'll notice that I do have some of these side branches cut. I did do a summer prune on these because they were getting some offshoots that were really long, and I do want to keep these a columnar style tree. So I did do some pruning, some summer pruning on those just to keep them in check. I did also in this bed plant some bright petunias. This is the time of the season when annuals go on sale. So I was able to pick up a flat of these for less than $1 a piece. So I thought, why not? I will add some color in now that I have the catmint cut back. And so it's just that bright pop of some hot pink colors to go with that lighter pink cashmere. I also have some sunflowers that I popped in here along the back of the fence. I alternated some Pro Cut white or Italian white, I think they're called, with some red. So we'll see how those do, but they should do great along the fence here. They'll get some quite a bit of sun during the day in this area. Here I have some of my Gara. I absolutely love Gara. Looks like fluttering butterflies in the yard. I love the movement it brings. It's so pretty. I have some lamb's ear, some more Nepeta that I did not cut back because the bees absolutely love it, and some bubble gum and some Supertunia fuchsia in here as well. I did notice that I think my Nepeta here is getting some spider mite damage, so I will need to keep an eye on that and make sure um, I'm keeping ahead of that and maybe get some organic spray. On the right hand side of this bed, I have some banana cream 2 daisies. Those got eaten very badly by slugs when they first came up. The slugs were climbing all the way up to almost where the blooms were and just eating all the leaves, the foliage, and everything off of it. So had to put some sluggo down, and then they've done better ever since. And I have some black-eyed Susans as well coming up. So that's a nice bright pop of yellow over in this bed. And this is one area that has changed completely since my May tour. I showed you that my blackberries were very small in May, and they are climbing way up and over now and are doing really great in this bed. So there's the black satin, and there's lots of green berries. So I think I'm going to get some good berries off of this bush this year, even. And then my pumpkins. I planted some pumpkins in the front of my berry bed, thinking that they would be able to take over some of the area down low, and they sure are. So, one thing I've been dealing with, though, and you'll have to tell me if you've experienced the same, is my female flowers are not opening when my male flowers are. So, right now, all the yellow flowers you can see open are male flowers, and the bees are absolutely loving them. They're all over inside of those male flowers, but any of my female flowers, you can see the little fruit on this flower, and that means this is a female flower. But it will not open. So I don't know what's going on or how to handle that other than to try to hand pollinate. So I've been coming out like these two. You can see the fruits getting bigger. That's because I took the stamen from the male flowers and actually hand pollinated some of these. You can see the flowers open a little bit. That's because I tore it open and I pollinated that myself. So I'm hoping for some pumpkins, but they don't seem to be interested in doing it on their own. So I'm trying to help them out a little bit this year so that we can get some fruit. The raspberries are now done for this time of the season. They are going to get a fall bumper crop. And so you see the more bright green stems that are poking out there. That's what's going to get the flowers and the fruit on it for my fall crop. But you can see the golden, red, brown color leaves are the raspberries that have come and gone for my spring crop. And so those will not flower or fruit again, so I can cut them out. And next year, these green stems that are poking out that are going to get a fall crop will get a spring crop. So I could leave those over winter and they will produce more fruit. But those in the center there will not. So I can do some work in this bed. And you can see here, one thing I notice a lot is my lemon coral sedum there in front of this bed. And it's really shining through with a great pop of brightness. I have my miniature nectarine tree here and an Ipomea sweet potato vine kind of trickling down. I have a soft serve cypress over here on the left hand side. And then some more of the pink cashmere superbena. That's not blooming super great there, but I really like this bed and what it looks like. I have cut out all my foxglove. They are pretty much done for the year now. And so the things that are shining through are looking really great. They're getting a little bit more sunlight now, having cut out those other plants. I do have a lilac here that looks to be doing well. Its leaves are really healthy looking. And then I planted a scented geranium back here, a citronella geranium with some really pretty pink flowers on it too. I did do a little trim back on my honeysuckle down below. It was looking a little tired and getting a little bit big. And then up above, you'll see that it is still blooming and still smelling really wonderful. This is my back patio, and you can see my hanging baskets and my containers. I did a tour of both of these as a part of my container tour in earlier in the month. And that video is also on my channel. You can see it linked down below too if you want to check it out. And my ladder planter here is looking a little tired too. I did do some cutbacks, so it's looking a little rough, but it should come back getting fertilized well. And then my little herb garden. So I have my mint and my rosemary. And since May, I did a complete cutback of my mint, like all the way back down to kind of almost where the roots are in the dirt. And it's already coming back really well. I'm probably going to do another full cutback because it's just so vigorous, which is why I keep it in a container and not in the ground. But it's doing really well here where it is. This is the other area of the bed leading up to my raised vegetable garden, and you can see that I've put in dahlias. I have these stakes here because these are supports for the dahlias that I've planted. And I've got Snowflake and Marry Me and some others put in here. And I have some penstemon that has bloomed and come and gone as well. And you can see the seed heads are really interesting looking. So I actually have not cut this back because I don't know. It looks really interesting. There are some dried blooms on it. Um, but it still adds some height and some depth and dimension and a little bit of that red purple color in this bed, which is really nice. Okay, now let's go up to the raised garden bed area. I've got my two planters, one on each side here. You'll see all the cutback that I did. This was a lot of really overgrown growth, like coming out into the walkway. So I really chopped it back, but that should come back. I literally just cut it back yesterday. So it needs a little bit of time to rebound. And then on the right hand side, I've got another planter that's looking fabulous. And these just add a little bit of color up here in my raised bed area. Up above here in my raised garden, vegetable garden area, this looks so much different than May as well. And you can just kind of look down the row here and see how green and lush everything looks. It's not looking tired yet. My pepper plants are doing great. My basil's doing great. So I'll just do a quick walkthrough. I already did a vegetable garden tour as well, and I did a harvest video not too long ago, but I did plant some things since then. So we'll just take a look at each bed. This bed, I planted some extra cabbage in here on the end. I know that it's a hot season right now, so cabbage might not like it, but this area gets a little bit of shade from some of the trees and then from the green beans and being on this side. So we'll see if they grow. I usually feed my cabbage to my chickens anyway. These are a bush green bean, and we've gotten a few harvests out of this already. And I guess 3 different harvests, and they've been really delicious. And I still see some additional flowers on here. So I think we're going to get even more green beans. You can see one here is working on being developed. And I've got a red cabbage still here in the middle. And then these are some of my pepper plants, and they are doing really, really well. They look so healthy, and they're starting to set fruit. And I'm really excited. I think this is a serrano here, and you can see some of the peppers that are coming on already on this plant. And there's so many flowers, there's going to be a lot of fruit to harvest. I had a little bit of room on the right side of this bed, so I planted a little decorative small gourd squash here on the left side, and then on the right I have a baby boo decorative pumpkin. So I thought that'd just be fun. I have some extra room up here, and I was thinking, what do I want to plant? And some fall decorative pumpkins sounded like a great idea, so that's what I went with. My basil is looking amazing. I usually make a blueberry lemon basil compote every year, and it's blueberry season. So I'm excited that this is in season because I really want to harvest some of it and make some more of that compote. It's getting a little bit of bug damage, but not too bad. It actually looks really healthy still. And then I've got more peppers coming on. I've harvested a couple bell peppers already from these, another red cabbage, and then some more peppers. And so many flowers on all of these plants. Peppers don't mind being shoulder to shoulder, so they're planted really thick. But that will be great. That means more peppers for me. And I do have some pickling cucumbers planted in the edge of this bed. I have things planted pretty thick, but those will go over the edge and won't take up too much room inside the bed, but you can see all the flowers in there. This is a bed I just planted yesterday. So we've got a couple more peppers, in addition to a pepper that was already planted here in this bed. But now that I took out my snap peas that have come and gone, I have more room to plant other things. And this here on the left hand side is a volunteer tomato, and so is that one down on the other end. So I have no idea what variety those will be, but I did buy a big, I think it's a beefsteak tomato for the middle there, just in hopes that we have enough heat left in our season to be able to get some good fruit out of those. And then this big Bertha pepper here on the right hand side that was already in this bed too. And then for the first time ever, I planted a couple eggplant. So I have a couple different varieties. This one is a small white eggplant called Gretel. And then this one is, let's see, it just says eggplant. Dark purple egg shaped fruits. So we'll see if we get anything out of those. Thought we'd try something new. This is another area that has completely changed since May. I'll put up a little bit of a flashback video to May to show you, but I have these humongous zucchini plants. I planted way too much zucchini, but more than anything, my tomatoes are absolutely huge. And you can see how tall this cherry tomato is on the end. Those boards are really tall and they are almost in competition with that board. You can see how much fruit they have on them as well. I'm really excited for my tomato harvest. A couple more peppers, some snacking pepper varieties, and a gypsy pepper. And here's another big tomato that I bought. Just thinking maybe we could make more fresh salsa if I planted some more tomatoes. But yeah, I'm just really impressed with tomatoes. I am struggling for the first time with blossom end rot on some of these. These are my San Marzanos. And so I am going to have to figure out something to do to try to deter that. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. I am open to trying everything, but I have so many ruined fruit already. I have more flowers to come on these too, so I'm hoping to get some more fruit, but it's pretty sad how many have been ruined already from blossom end rot. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but our cherry tomatoes are doing really well. So maybe we'll have enough of those to make plenty of things out of. You can see how tall they are. It's just amazing how much they've grown. All right, I'm back down below now. You'll see the tomato bed where we just were up above and our pathway that leads to our chicken coop, our hammock that's outside. We've been enjoying that a lot in these nice summer days. I do have my weeping pussy willow up here, and it's gotten so big. I had it trimmed up actually in the May tour video, and it has grown down to the ground and then some. So it is really liking where it is now. Got some more nepeta planted below that, and then a new garden bed that I put in this year with some brick. This was just grass. It was always hard to mow back in this corner. So I added some soil and transplanted a couple evergreens that will grow up and provide a little bit of shade for the chickens. But it'll be kind of a nice visual stop here before the chicken coop as well in this area of the yard. I've got some annuals planted in here. My Ipomea sweet potato vine in the front is actually blooming. And I've got a few dahlias in this bed as well. You can see the green stakes. This big leafed plant is a zucchini, and I've gotten a lot of fruit off of it already. I think it's doing so well because it's right next to the chicken coop, so it gets some nice dust fertilizer on the leaves and is staying really big and happy. And I did pull out some cabbage that was in this bed and some lettuce in the last tour. I just had a bed full of lettuce here, and the chickens have enjoyed that. But I do have some annuals in the front, and then I just planted some sunflowers towards the back that I pre-sprouted. And then my Claire Austin rose growing up over top of this archway, and it's getting another flush of blooms there at the top. To the right of the pathway, I do have my pear espalier along the wall, some penstemon, some annuals down below, and then these are all my blueberries. And right now there's no blue ones because we have eaten all of them, but you'll see how big and great the berries look on this bush. We've really enjoyed having a great blueberry harvest this year. So these are a Chandler variety, and then down at the end we have a pink lemonade variety. And you'll see the berries just stay pink, and they're pretty sweet once they're ripe. If you pick them too early, they're pretty sour. And one thing I noticed is that for the very first time, we have a little pear on our tree, and it is quite small, but there it is in its full glory. So we have not had fruit on this pear espalier yet, so that's pretty exciting to see our first little fruit. And this tree might need a little bit of a summertime prune as well, but it's doing all right, hanging in there. I think it's just needed some time to get established too. Thank you so much for coming along with me on my July garden tour. As you could see, so much has changed since May. It's fun already just to have those two videos to compare and contrast some of the garden growth. As you're in it and you see it every day, you just don't notice as many of those things. So it's really fun to have some of those progress updates and to see what's going on, and to look back even in future months of garden tours to see what's growing on and how everything's coming along in the garden and all the different projects and all the different things. One thing that's even changed since May is I stained my garden beds. So that was another thing I forgot when I was even walking around that was different. So there's just so many things to document the progress of. So thank you for coming along and sharing my July garden tour with me. And rain or shine, I'll see you next time.